The recent B patch hotfixed Draven and some other econ legends, which has brought the meta back to a more stable state. The meta is largely centralized around two comps, Ionia and Strategists, after comps like Zeri and Aphelios took big nerfs. In this video, I'm going to show you my tier list for the current meta, take a look at each of the comps mentioned, and explain the best strategies to climb with on this patch. Strategist Azir and Lux is the top comp in the current meta. It's incredibly easy to play off of both win streaks and loss streaks, and if you can manage to get fully itemized 2-star forecast units, you're often headed for a top 2. Ionia Yasuo is the other S tier comp. Because this comp uses both AD and AP items very well, it's very easy to pivot into off of almost any early game board, and it caps out very high if you get good combat augments. However, hitting Yasuo and Kaisa too is often hard, as there's normally 3 to 4 players contesting this per game. Void Kaisa is a top comp in the meta that has an incredibly strong early and mid game with 6 Void that usually allows you to reach Baron pretty easily, but you can only play it with +1 Void or stable evolution. Noxus, Katarina, and Darius is the strongest reroll comp in the current meta. If you can 3-star both with 3 good items on each, you're usually going to top 4 and have good chances to win. Sorcerers are a strong comp under the right conditions, but you really need to either go for Vel'Koz 3, hit an early Ahri, or get Sorkspat for Sona, or else you should just play the Strategist board. Tristana Reroll is still good on the current patch, but it's even more important now that you hit on time and can push for level 8 to get 4 gunners in. If you don't manage to hit on time, you're almost guaranteed to bleed out into a bottom 2. Freljord Deadeyes took a big nerf on the last patch, as Aphelios isn't a great carry anymore. To do better than just a top 4 with this comp, you need augments like social distancing or long distance pals, or an itemized Akshan 3 as a secondary carry. Gwen is now playable in the meta, but you always need to pair her with an itemized Yasuo, Kaisa, or Kalista. This comp is overly reliant on hitting legendaries like Senna and Aatrox as well, and can really only win with Kalista 3-star. Slayer Z Reroll is a good reroll option with good combat augments or Slayer +1, but it usually struggles to win out against the top comps in the meta, and you can easily go 8th if you are behind and don't hit your 3-stars. Gunner Zeri received some huge nerfs this patch, and drops all the way down to B tier. She simply doesn't do enough damage anymore, and the usual conditions to play her also got nerfed, like hitting early Piltover or a secondary strong carry in Urgot. I would only ever play this if you get Piltover now, but even then, it's still hard to top 2 unless you get a really good cash out. Other playable comps on this patch are Bruiser Rek'Sai reroll, Multicaster Taliyah reroll, and Invoker Karma, but you need very specific spots to play these. And now let's get into my strategy for climbing on this patch. The best legend on this patch is Ezreal, simply because his 2-1 augment, Buried Treasures, especially the silver and gold ones, give way too much early combat power and gold. Additionally, the 2 comps Ionia and Strategist greatly benefits from itemizing 3 or 4 units, so Ezreal fits very well into this meta. His 3-2 augments are also very good, but don't pick his 4-2 augment except for the prismatic one. Other playable legends include Vladimir, Aurelion Sol, Ornn, and Urf. In the early game, you should always try to build your strongest board and slam any items that work well on Ionia or Strategist boards. Here are the strongest early and mid game boards for each of these comps that allow for easy pivots on your level 7 rolldowns. Make sure to remember that the meta is not very balanced, and you should only be looking to play other comps if there is a clear direction to play them, whether it be your items, early game direction, or more importantly, your augments. Since these 2 are by far the best comps in the meta, usually 3 to 4 players will be playing them per game. Make sure to note if you are contested, and to be sure to roll aggressively on either stage 3-5 or 4-1 at level 7 to hit your board. Lastly, before you start playing, make sure to familiarize yourself with the most broken augments on this patch and how to play around them with the help of meta TFT. These are the 12 augments with the highest average placement in the game, and the ones you should usually take when offered if you have the appropriate spot for them. Void Crown, Stable Evolution, and Void Crest all point you towards 8 Void Kaisa, which we will talk about later in the video. Noxus, Shadow Isles, and Sorcerer Crowns all lead you towards their respective comps, while Sentinel Spirit should force you towards Ionia, and Tactical Superiority points you towards Strategists. Long Distance Pals and Mana Burn are generally 2 of the best combat augments in the game, especially Long Distance Pals if you have 2 duo carries like Yasuo and Kaisa, or Azir and Lux. The last 2 augments shown require you to play different boards if you take them. Shurima's Legacy is only playable in vertical Shurima, where you do not play the Strategist board. Here is an example of what you should play. Ravenous Hunter is Warwick's hero augment, so you should build him as the main carry with these specific items, Rageblade, Bloodthirster, and Quicksilver, and then play a reroll board like this one at level 7, and push levels for more Juggernauts once you hit the 3-star. Now let's take a deeper look into each comp, and all of these will be linked in an Imgur album that is available for patrons and YouTube members, and the links to join those are down in the description. Starting off with Strategist Azir. This is a 4-cost carry comp that almost always prefers to roll at level 7 on 3-5 if you have a lot of money, or 4-1 otherwise. Drop Teemo until level 8, and this board is completely static, and the only thing you can reasonably change is dropping Talia for K'Sante 2-star, or Teemo for legendaries like Sion 2, Senna 2, or Heimerdinger 2-star. Itemize whoever you 2-star first, but Azir is usually the priority, and you want to end up with 3 items on both carries, as well as 3 tank items. The main priority for this comp is to have Magic Shred, which can be either Spark on Nasus, or Jarvan, or Shiv on Azir. Azir's other best items are Rageblade, RFC, Gunblade, Guardbreaker, Deathcap, and Archangels. Lux's best items are Sojin, Gunblade, JG, and Deathcap. Put the Demacia item on either Jarvan or Lux, depending on whether you need more damage or more frontline. Itemizing Nasus is also a good option in this comp instead of Jarvan as your main tank if you hit him first. Next up is Ionia Yasuo. This is another 4-cost carry comp that really wants to roll at level 7 to hit your 4-costs, as hitting Shen, Yasuo, and Kaisa 2-star means everything for your board. If you are rolling at level 7 without +1 Ionia, just drop Warwick and play 3 challengers. Play Jhin until you hit Ahri, and if you do hit +1 Ionia, put the spat on Kalista, Bel'Veth, or another carry you're putting in. Prioritize making AP items first for this comp, as Kaisa is more of a consistent threat than Yasuo. Kaisa's best items are Static Shiv, Guardbreaker, Deathcap, Gunblade, Archangels, and Hodge. Morello is also a great option unless you already have Slammed Sunfire. Yasuo's only core item is Edge of Night, which prevents him from getting bursted down by Azir and Lux. His other items should just be healing, like Hodge or PT, or damage items like Deathblade, IE, and Titans. RFC is also a good option, as it allows him to target the backline on his first ultimate. Make sure to also itemize Shen with tank items. Any extra items should go on Karma, and if you are in a position to randomly 3-star her, consider itemizing her first if you don't yet have Kaisa 2-star. Next up we have Void, which is only playable with Stable Evolution or +1 Void so you can hit Baron. If you do manage to hit +1 Void, you should always play this board with the spat on Yasuo. If you have Stable Evolution, play 6 Void and reroll Vel'Koz and Rek'Sai 3-star, or push levels aggressively and play legendaries. Usually you should roll down at level 6 on stage 3-2 for 6 Void to start or continue the win streak, and then use that tempo to push for a fast 8 to start rolling for Bel'Veth, as hitting 8 Void is the main priority. Kaisa's best items are Deathcap, Morello, Sojin, Guardbreaker, and Archangels. Static Shiv is unnecessary late game since Baron provides Shred, but it's fine as an early game slam. You should usually itemize Rek'Sai with AD items if you are in a spot to 3-star him, which is one of the other win conditions for this comp once you reach Baron. If you can't 3-star Rek'Sai, just put the items on Bel'Veth instead, especially attack speed items. Next up is Noxus Reroll. This is a 3-cost reroll comp, so you want to slow roll at level 7 for 3-star Darius and Katarina. However, Noxus stacks are very important, and you want to make sure to level to 6 on 3-2 and stabilize your board to start winning there. At minimum, you need to hit 6 Noxus, but you can also roll for Katarina 2 and Darius 2 there if you have pairs or you are weak. You want to play a Juggernaut like Warwick, Nasus, or Aatrox at level 7, and drop Cassio for Sion once you hit him. Play Jarvan or a Rogue at level 8, and if you have a Noxus spat, put it on Echo and roll for Echo 3-star as well. Darius's best items are Titans and IE, and a healing item like Hodge or PT. Katarina wants AP items like JG and Guardbreaker, and a healing item like Hodge or Gunblade. The next comp is Sorcerer Lux. This is another 4-cost carry comp, so you want to roll down at level 7 to stabilize. Drop Ahri and Orianna for Shen, or drop Ahri and Sona for Malzahar. This comp is really not worth playing with only 4 sorcerers, as the Azir Strategist board is just better there. But if you get +1 Sorcerer, this comp becomes really good, as you can put the spat on Sona and use her as the 3rd carry. The main win con for this comp is Vel'Koz 3 and Sona 3 if you have the Sorc spat, but you should make sure to itemize Lux first to make sure you can top 4. Lux's best item is Sojin, as it gives her an instacast and 3 autos to cast later. Otherwise, itemize her with Gunblade or Hodge for healing, and damage items like Deathcap, JG, and Guardbreaker. Spark is incredibly important in this comp, so make sure to prioritize it early, and tank items should go on Swain or Jarvan. The next comp is Tristana Reroll. This is a 1-cost reroll comp, so you should never level at stage 2 and hold as much gold as possible until stage 3-1, where you should roll down to about 30 gold to hit as many 1-cost units as possible. Then slow roll at level 5 until 4-1, where you will roll the rest of your gold if you haven't hit already. If your legend is Lee Sin and you take on a role as your augment, you play much differently. Instead of hoarding your gold, you hold all 1-cost pairs on your bench at the cost of gold, sell any extra units you 2-star, and try to get as many shop refreshes as possible until you hit your 3-stars. And once you hit, level to 6 for Yordle and try to go 8 for 4 Gunners and Heimerdinger. At level 9, drop Viego and play Cassante and Shen for 4 Bastion. The third Yordle can be either Kled or Teemo, and itemize Maokai with your tank items, which is preferably Stoneplate and Redemption. Don't put items on Poppy as she is a really bad unit and you want to 4-star your Tristana. There are 2 core items on Tristana, Last Whisper and Gunblade, though Hodge is a suitable replacement. The third item can be anything, but the best one is Giant Slayer, followed by Runance and Guardbreaker. Any extra frontline items should go on Viego, and any extra carry items should go on Zeri or Viego. Next up is Freljord Aphelios. This is a 4-cost carry comp, meaning you want to roll down at 4-1 at level 7 for some variation of this board. Usually you can just drop Shen for other frontlands like Jarvan or Sion. Ideally, you want to either go for Akshan 3 or 3 really good Urgot items as well, as this comp cannot do better than a top 4 otherwise. Aphelios' best item is Ginsu's Rageblade. He is not a good carry without it, so you should always make sure to save one bow for it. His next best item is Deathblade, as it gives him the most raw damage. The last item can be anything, but Giant Slayer and Guardbreaker are the best ones. Akshan can use pretty much any AD and attack speed items. And Urgot's best items are Bloodthirster, Hodge, Edge of Night, and Titans. And once you itemize Aphelios, itemize Sejuani or Shen as your main tank, depending on who you hit first. Next up is Gwen. Playing around Gwen is quite tough, as this comp is pretty flexible and uses multiple different secondary carries. This is the most standard board though, where you drop Aatrox if you're rolling at level 7. Generally, you want to itemize Kaisa after Gwen, but if you have the ability to hit Kalista 3-star, you should itemize her instead of them, and that is the highest cap for this board. Usually, you don't want to itemize Yasuo if possible, and if you hit Shadow Isles +1, put it on Kaisa or Shen, and play 6 Shadow Isles by dropping Irelia and Yasuo. Gwen's best item is Spark, and other than that, she wants a healing item and a damage item like Deathcap, Archangels, and Titans. You can get away with not running a healing item if you have Slayer and 4 Shadow Isles, and if you have Shiv on Kalista or Kaisa, do not build Spark. Kaisa's best items are Sojin, Deathcap, and Guardbreaker, but any AP items will do, and Kalista's only core item is Rageblade, but healing and damage items like Giant Slayer and Guardbreaker are also great for her. And again, all of these comps will be linked in an Imgur album that is available for patrons and YouTube members, and the links to join that is down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want cheat sheets for any of my comp guides, they're available for YouTube members and patrons, and the links to join those are down in the description. And if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 9,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.